For more on Charlie Kirk's legacy, let's bring in Florida Republican Congressman Byron Donalds. Congressman, welcome.
It's good to be with you. Thanks for having me.
As a conservative elected official, what is your assessment of Charlie Kirk's impact on American politics?
Charlie led the revival of conservatism amongst young people in this country. I truly do not believe that the conservative movement and the Republican Party would be as successful as it is today without the impact of Charlie Kirk. You're talking about an individual who's a one of one. You're not going to get another Charlie Kirk. I think a lot of people are going to try to take up the mantle, and we should honor his legacy. But you have somebody who had deep faith, who believed that they were placed on this earth for a reason and a purpose, and committed his entire life to reaching young people to talk about conservative policy, conservative values, Judeo-Christian values, and an appreciation of Western civilization here in the United States on college campuses, something that was being left out of the debate and out of the discussion on these campuses and even in these high schools. And Charlie committed his life to touching young people and to literally creating a turning point in the United States of America. You're not going to replace him. What we can do is honor his legacy and pick up the mantle that he's left for all of us.
I want to play for you in the audience a clip from House Speaker Mike Johnson, and I'll get you to react to it, sir.
People have got to stop framing simple policy disagreements in terms of existential threats to our democracy and all these phrases you hear all the time. You can't call the other side fascists and enemies of the state and not understand that there are some deranged people in our society who will take that as cues to act and do crazy and dangerous things.
Do you believe it's time to lower the temperature in terms of rhetoric in American politics?
I do, and I would say, to be very direct with you, this is something where Democrats are really going to have to get their act in order. And I'm being direct and honest about that. What happened to Charlie Kirk is because of the dangerous rhetoric from the left. When you try to call us Nazis or fascists or all of these deranged labels from very dark times in American history simply because you want to win political races, it's simply not correct. I'll go deeper than that. If you go to my colleague Steve Scalise almost lost his life because the shooter said very clearly that he thought that Republicans were going to take away health care and he had to do something. You got to be sober with the language that you use. Look, I'm not a Pollyanna. Politics is a rough sport. We're rubbing elbows all the time. We're trying to get our points across. But when you dehumanize your political rival, what you end up doing is you put them in harm's way from people who are deranged, who think that now they have to take matters into their own hands to save America. I want every elected official, whether I agree with them or not, every candidate, whether I agree with them or not, every activist, whether I agree with them or not, I want them to be able to go home and see their families, just like I want to go home and see my wife and see my kids. We can have strong debates, we can have strong disagreements, but you cannot dehumanize your political rival and think there will not be consequences.
I just want to briefly add that Congresswoman Gabby Giffords was also a victim of political violence, as were a couple of state lawmakers in Minnesota. So with political figures being targets of political violence, what do you expect leadership and Capitol Police to do about security going forward?
I talked to Speaker Johnson briefly on the floor the other day. We're going to do the best we can. You know, we're just going to have to do the best we can. I think every member is evaluating their own personal security apparatus, both at home and while they're in Washington, D.C. You know, Capitol Police, there's only but so many officers on the Capitol Police force. So this is something where I think some members in particular are probably going to go to private security teams to basically make sure they're secured and their families secured. I would say everybody to take a step back. The fact that you have members of Congress having to go out and hire private security teams should tell everybody in the United States, this is not the country that we were founded to be. This is not a country that can survive another 250 years. If you have elected officials, no matter how much you disagree with them, feel they have to go hire private security in order to feel safe. We are better than this. We are a better America than this. Let's start respecting the humanity of all Americans, no matter how much we might disagree with our fellow man.
Congressman Byron Donalds, grateful for your time today, sir. Thanks so much.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.